Thank you, and good evening. Fewer and fewer counselors around. I guess one is out of the seat. We had a lot of hope 3 years ago. There was a big change, a big shift in direction in the city. A party that had trod rather roughly, perhaps, on communities was shown the door. And we had a lot of hope. We had expected things would change. We expected things that could be different in the city. We heard a lot of good words about community, the value of the people and the environment. And that includes the built environment. We thought we were getting someone who actually believed in conservation. And the first thing we saw was what had once been 700 renters in the most amazing community that's ever existed in the city, really tight community. They were whittled down, finally all but 4 sent away. And their homes ripped down. That was Little Mountain. And we lost people on the West End, on Fraser Street, and I'll leave out Millions and Cedar Cottage. And now Shannon Mews. And what was their fault? Well, they're all renters. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, they're all renters. I guess you can't always force out homeowners. And I understand from one of the counselors talking to him last weekend that another beautiful neighborhood, a little housing area in my neighborhood called Heather Place, built 30 years ago. I guess the mortgage is almost paid off, and I guess it's coming down, isn't it? And that's the way things happen here. Well, they're renters too, I guess. And that's their fault. Try not to be a renter here. Big mistake. And I looked around, and one of the things I sat down and I made a bunch of phone calls, and I looked over the past 20 years in Vancouver. Actually, 20 years, it just happened to be back when Kyoto was signed. I looked at all the new buildings that have gone up. They're all made of concrete. I thought that was interesting because concrete is the most carbon intensive of all building materials. And I took a look at how much concrete was actually poured in concrete in Vancouver over the past 20 years, but looking at the actual deliveries into the city of Vancouver. Sorry. In the past 20 years, Vancouver has poured more concrete per capita than any other city on earth. It's also grown by 35%. They're kind of related. How can a city that grows 35% in 20 years since Kyoto was signed and poured more concrete per capita than any other city be Kyoto compliant, as someone has heard to say in Copenhagen just 3 years ago? I don't understand it. I don't know what the calculation is. Maybe the clinker wasn't actually used in Vancouver or something like that, but it's used by us. It's actually used in a whole lot of stuff, including the residents of the city. We have a development that we're looking at here that is, it's monstrous compared to the neighborhood. You've heard from the people in the neighborhood. What I find striking about it is, where's the transit? We've talked about transit-oriented development for years now. Well, actually, Granville Street has less transit than it had 3 years ago. They got rid of the B line. People talk about all the cars that are there because, well, they don't have very good transit on Granville anymore because of the standalone. It's gotten a lot worse. Hey, Canby Street's gotten worse. We lost our 15 bus to downtown, so I can't take a bus downtown anymore. And I live a kilometer away from the nearest transit station, so I'm not transit-oriented by theory. I guess I can walk here, so I can certainly walk to the transit station, but it's a lot harder. I usually walk downtown anyway. All right, bike. But why is it that we're putting all this money and all this focus on a part of the city that isn't served by transit, when we should be building it outwards? Near Lungar, this Lungar Station. And all of this is basically driving the force of development away from the transit areas. We don't even have new zoning or any real focus on the Millennium Line. That was cut out of the whole process at in Cedar Cottage in what's Norquay they call it, and I think that's just wrong. And all I can say is all I've seen in the past couple of years here is more and more homelessness, more and more renters thrown out. The rents are going through the roof because there's nothing old to rent anymore. Everything is new and everything is $13.50 plus for a one bedroom. That's not affordable in the city, and nothing new is being built is affordable.
So you're over your 5?
Yeah.
You
I'm okay.
good? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Chatterjee.